And there you have it, guys. According to Derek Chisora, the fight between Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois is done. And he also went on to say that it's not about the BBBFC and rankings or any of that anymore. It's about who signs the checks, which is Turki Al-Sheikh, and let me counterpunch. That's pretty much spot on. I mean, especially what he said about signing the checks and who really calls the shots and who wants the fights and makes the fights and gets the fights is the people that pay. And it's actually becoming to a point where we are going to see, unfortunately, fights get made that we probably know in our hearts of hearts that don't really deserve to happen, but they're happening. You know what I mean? Like, I think the yin and the yang of having someone that's a boxing fan is the fact that sometimes that the boxing fan's opinion is not the opinion of others, only himself or themselves, you know. So it might not be the opinion of the British public or the American public. It may be the opinion of Riyadh season. You know what I'm saying? And no one is going to stand in the way of anyone that's paying that type of money to fighters that's making these things go and flow. Okay, it used to be the networks either wanted it or it had to make sense. Remember that shit? Like, oh, the fight has to make sense. Like, what do you mean? If people want to see the fight and that's the fight that we want to see in the sport, why not make that happen? Well, you see, it has to make sense because we got to make the money because the networks are going to expect a certain amount and they're going to want 50%. All that bullshit, right? It's not like that anymore. You know, the networks don't have to pay anything, so they're off the hook. They don't care. They could care less about what Turkey does as long as Turkey is supplying the money and not themselves. That's what's happening. Now, I hope Derek's wrong, but knowing Derek Chisora is in everyone's ear. He's in every circle. He's in every crowd. He hears things here and there, to and fro. That's what he does, you know, and him being not only a negotiator and a fraternizer, he is also a fighter. Okay, so he's like everywhere. So he hears things that people don't supposed to hear versus things that people supposed to hear. He hears it. And if he heard this, I mean, it's not too far-fetched because Frank Warren said he'll send a contract to Oleksandr Usyk's people that day when he spoke of it, right? And that has been brewing for a while. Oleksandr Usyk said that he would want to fight Daniel Dubois. That fight will be next, and why not? And this, that, and the other. So, you know, I think it's a best bet. I think if Derek Chisora didn't hear anything in reality, he probably pretty much uses imagination and, you know, based on what's already been said. And that's totally fine, you know, as far as the prediction goes, because it's more like an educated guess more than like, hey, it's done, like, because someone told me type, you know. But I do think, if anything, what's right of rights is Joseph Parker should fight Daniel Dubois. I mean, because they're like the rush for an undisputed fight is over. You know, Daniel Dubois, okay, here's my thing. Why would Daniel Dubois be rushed into an undisputed fight? Why? What's the urgency of Daniel Dubois getting one? He's already a champion. I think you need to get accustomed to being a champion and staying a champion and reigning and defending that particular championship, not advancing to another plateau of a fight that we've already seen. The undisputed feud or desire is not, to me, it's not as important as it used to be because we've already seen it. An undefeated champion has already been crowned, okay? That record of length and how long we've had an undisputed champion is gone. We had an undisputed champion in May of 2024. It will be March of 2025. There's no need to rush back into an undisputed fight. For what? Oleksandr Usyk is going to retire soon. He has 2 fights left, and that's pretty much his calendar year. Fight early in the year, fight later in the year, then he's out the door. Now, if he becomes an undisputed champion again, I mean, that would be good for him. But then, it would only benefit him if he wanted to be a 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. But even if he did, okay, the only thing that I can gather that would benefit him would be him beating Daniel Dubois and becoming a double or a 2-time undisputed heavyweight champion and then defending it and then leaving. That would be the only way. Because Daniel beating Oleksandr Usyk, if he beats Usyk, well, he will become the undisputed champion. But more than likely what would happen, he would have to fight Usyk again in a rematch. You know what I mean? And depending on if you would want to see a rematch, because if it's one of those situations where Usyk just got old overnight, who would want to see that shit? That would be even worse for him, because if he got old overnight, that's that. Because Daniel Dubois is going to run right over him the same way he did before. If that's the case, which I doubt that's the case. And I hope that's not the case, because, you don't want someone to get old. You don't want someone to be weathered or challenged or bothered in that way then in the ring or before a fight. You want that to happen later on down the road when they're trying to spar somebody and they find out I don't have it no more. Not in a professional bout where things are on the line and things actually matter, like life and death. You know what I'm saying? So, but no, back to Derek Chisora. No, I'm really not interested in an undisputed fight right now. There's no urgency for it. But you guys tell me what you think of Derek Chisora claiming that the deal between Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois is done. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunching. Peace!